Hello and welcome to today's Rocksmith developer stream. I'm your host and the community developer for Rocksmith, Douglas Lilly. Very glad to have you here. If this is your first time here, welcome. Maybe if it's your first time here, you are here to see our community guests today, Osbug and Screechy. They will be performing later on. I'm very happy to have them. We're also going to hear from Kin, which I will talk about a little bit later. But yeah, what we do here, we listen to music, we play some songs. We like to talk about music today. I have a couple guests, and we're going to talk about continuing to live and thrive in this sort of digital environment that we're finding ourselves in more and more these days. So I'm very happy to welcome to the stream Brian Shu and Shane Gann. Welcome, gentlemen. Gentlemen, sure.
Oh my God.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Everyone. My camera was freaking out.
Uh-oh. And everybody's on Do Not Disturb. Just want to put that out there, just in case. We're good. All right. Welcome, guys. Brian Shu, you are, I see here, a music content creator for Rocksmith. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I am.
And Shane Gann, you are a transcriptionist here. Glad to have you both back. It's been a little while, I think, since we've had Brian Shu live. Shane, we've had you a few weeks ago. Again, very glad to have you both back live. We are going to talk about collaborating and performing virtually or digitally. I don't know. What do you prefer? Because it's the collaboration is real. I hate to call it a virtual collaboration because you're actually collaborating.
I like virtual better. It's more like VR.
Right. It's like
weird reality we live in now.
We're making music in the future.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Future is now. So how is the future now? That's not one of my questions. Want to welcome you. So Brian Shu, let's start with you. We had you on with a couple of people that you've collaborated with a few months back, and you've been continuing to work with people online, making music. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing and how that's been going over the past few weeks and months.
Well, it's been good. Been getting some calls for session work, so some people will just email me or hit me up on Facebook or Instagram, be like, hey, I need some guitar. Do you want to noodle over it? And usually it's like, hip-hop tracks and stuff like that, so I can just do my thing. But I've been doing some of my own personal pet projects, basically doing these video-on-video things. It was mostly a chance to get familiar with Premiere, Adobe Premiere, and get some video editing in my skill set, even though I still suck at it.
Right.
And then also a little bit of mixing and editing practice on my end. So a lot of it was like, I kind of want to play music with some of these guys, but I never get a chance to. So the best way to do it nowadays is just virtual, and I can just ask my friends that I never get to play with and be like, hey, let's actually do something now.
Yeah. And you don't have to schedule times necessarily.
Yeah, everybody can just kind of record their parts on their own time, and it's just really easy. It's less of a headache, and especially if you already have a direction, like what tune you're doing, or you already have some sort of rough draft of whatever you want to record. And that's usually how it goes. Like, people send rough drafts to each other, and then as people record on it, then it builds up, and
just kind of develop like layer by layer. I want to come back to a couple of things you mentioned, that developing of the tracks as well as that additional skill set. But next I want to ask Shane, so you are about to have your first online performance?
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and tell us about what's going on there.
Well, Hail the Sun is my the band that I'm a part of. I play guitar in, and our typical year is filled up with 3 to 4 months overall touring around the country, and we usually go to Canada for a couple of days. That'll happen kind of once in the spring, once in the late summer, fall. It just spreads out through the whole year. And we are coming up on, I think, in about 20-something days, we will have been a year since our last live performance. Yeah. So it's a drastic change for our band to be yeah, just trying to survive under the current climate. And
Right.
so the virtual performance is an opportunity for us to perform, obviously, virtually,
Right.
and keep our whole thing going, like our energy that we need to do to express through live music.
Yeah.
And we feel like our fan base really gravitates towards our energy that way. And so to do this is a way to kind of get them through this as well. Um, and yeah, so the long and short of it is we have 3 bands performing as if you were at a real concert. The thing airs tomorrow night. I think there will be a link somewhere throughout
Sure.
all of this.
I got the link
Hopefully.
to UB Jurassic as the stream is starting, so maybe it's going up right now. If not, we'll have it up by the end of this by the end of today's stream. I went a few times.
But yeah, that's that one.
So, and I assume you've had and you I think you mentioned so each of the 3 bands are separated. So like the 3 bands aren't
Yes,
in the same
it's
physical
just
place.
one set and then another set.
Okay.
Exactly. Oh yeah, for the actual performance. Yeah, it's all very social distanced and all of that. No live crowd or anything. Just professionally filmed, and the audio's very wonderfully recorded.
Good. You mentioned energy. That was one of the things that I wanted to talk to both of you about. Brian, you're not really a stranger to working virtually, working over the internet, right? Is that
I'm not. Yeah, I've also with my the band that I used to play with a lot, Super Soul Bros. We were one of the first bands to stream on Twitch. This is before they even had a music section on the Twitch thing, and we did that for like a good about 2 or 3 years. It streamed like for 6 hours twice a week. It was kind of nuts. It sucked. No, it didn't suck. It was a lot of fun, but it was just really tiring.
Well, but I do want to ask, like, how do you, if you're either when you're working on music with a group of people online, you're not playing at the same time with each other. You're sending tracks, maybe to each other, maybe to a consolidated location. How do you how is the energy different than what it would be if you were writing music together collectively, and how do you sort of overcome or use that difference in energy?
It's different in a way that I think it's easier to experiment because everybody has their own recording setup, and you can just shoot a bunch of takes of like different things that you're thinking of. It's kind of it's almost a little less abstract than talking it out in person.
Okay. So because you can just play, you can just say like, this is what I want to do. This is, or like,
it's like this. It's definitely a different workflow. I can't say for sure like which one I prefer myself,
right?
But I don't know. It's I kind of prefer the virtual thing because then I can do my thing, and a lot of my bandmates kind of trust that I'll just do what's right for the song.
Yeah. And nobody's there to like shut you down when you first start. They don't like it.
Well, sometimes I get like a little bit of performance anxiety around people. So like if someone's like, here, play something over this, like, and they're sitting in front of me, I'm just like, what do I do? Like, I don't. I kind of like having
judgy eyes and ears on you.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily judgy, but I just kind of like being in an environment where it's just me and the music, and then I have time and space to just do different things and fail over and over again.
Sure.
Whereas like when I'm in a room with another person, I'm like, I got to do something like perfect right away. Or,
Right. And if you fail the first time, do you sort of like pull back in those situations?
A little bit, yeah. Okay. I have a little bit of like, it's kind of like being put on the spot. I'm not really sure how much I like that.
I'll keep that in mind for later this stream. Shane, similar question for you. How are you finding, or how would you find? And Brian, you feel free to answer this as well, since you have performed on stream, you've performed virtually before, but how is it? How do you overcome not having that immediate feedback from a crowd when you're performing?
Well, it's a difficult endeavor for sure because, like I mentioned before, the energy transposition or transference is the word I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
going for, between the crowd and the performers is such a real thing, and everybody knows that no matter where you are at a show. And yeah, so that whole energy has to be more just built on memory and experience,
yeah,
and the vibe between the members of the band has to remember that this is, you know, what we're supposed to be bringing and how to bring it.
yeah.
And part of it actually, because we're on in-ear units now, where we
Mhm.
hear each other's instruments, and you know, we all have our own balance that we can decide. So I hear mostly myself and things like that.
Yeah,
And we've been playing with that system for a little while now, so it is pretty sonically aim as whether, but we can still find ourselves familiarized with the process and be able to get into that zone.
so
Or at
so it
least
is
that's how
something
I
that you can.
feel like.
So you've been able to practice sort of not emulating a crowd, but practice getting into that
Channeling it.
mindset. Yeah, yeah, that works. That's good. You can practice
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Um, and I want to go back. Shu, you were talking about kind of how these recordings are produced. Do you find that it tends to be one person organizing it, or if you're working with a band, like a group, who decides who's in charge?
If we're jumping back to recordings, right?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
okay, like collaborating on recordings. Usually, I find that the way that it's most effective for me and my friends is one person takes the lead. That way, there's kind of no question that things aren't kind of left in the air. It's just kind of up to this one person to be like, to kind of poke other people, be like, hey, I need your part now.
Yeah.
And basically ask for things. And yeah, it's a little faster to do that, at least on my end. What I like to do is when I do something like a cover, I like to create a reference track for people. So I'll basically arrange the whole tune how I would like it to be played, like the A, B, C, or first chorus, whatever it may be. I'll set the tempo. I'll play a scratch guitar part, scratch drums. I'll program drums. I'll do a scratch bass part and keyboard part. I could have just done it myself, but like.
But that's not as fun, right?
Yeah, it's because I want to give the virtual players something fun to record to. I don't want to send them a click and be like, okay, like just do your thing over a click, and there's no energy to feed off of.
Right.
And I'm pretty decent at like the other instruments, so I can make it feel like a good band is playing the track. So, and then I'll bounce the track out. Basically music -1. I don't know if everybody knows what that is, but basically they're backing tracks minus bass, or the track minus drums or minus keyboards. And then that way people won't feel like my parts are getting in the way. And I can send tracks out to basically everybody at the same time.
Yeah. And how often do you iterate on that? Like how often do you'll get you'll receive one version of each, or however many initial versions of each part from the different performers. You sort of mix it and arrange it. How often do you sort of send it back out with that? Was it track -1? Or music -1?
So the ones that do get sent back out is usually when the drummer sends me something.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And yeah, because the drummer's really glues everything together and gives it that energy. So if the drummer does it first, that's always best. So sometimes I'll send it to the drummer before everybody else, because I like having that raw energy of the rhythm. And then maybe the bass player or something like that. So Yeah, it also depends on who gets it done first. Like, there's some people that I work with that take a lot longer to finish their parts. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but and as I get parts, I like to put it together and then I'll send it back out, kind of as a reminder. Like, hey, you haven't finished your part, but this guy did, so you can record to this thing. And it's kind of like a constant reminder, like, oh yeah, we're making progress on this as well, without being extra pushy or anything like that.
Gotcha. Shane, I don't know if you can say, are you recording anything right now?
Well, it's funny that she was bringing all this up because Suffer is the project where right now we have been kind of going through that exact process, except it's just me and the drummer. So that sense of, hey, it's ready for your part is like it's pretty rapid right now, which is very exciting because that's kind of what we need to feed off of during these times.
Right.
But Hail the Sun hasn't written anything because the record that we recorded in February is still just being held on to by the label until we know
what the world is going to be.
Anything.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
And when you are performing, when you're doing a stream performance or an online performance, do you still have the same people sort of making the same types of decisions as far as like venue, set list, any perhaps set design that you're doing? Are those the same decisions?
For the most part, honestly, for this whole thing, we did go with a recreation of a show, kind of by the books, I would say.
Yeah.
There are definitely opportunities to spice it up in a lot of ways, especially in, like you're saying, just more behind the scenes production value that you can think through, and a different set sort of component. Like I always think about it, this Third Eye Blind show that I saw, that in the middle of their longer set they brought out a couch and they played like 5 or 6 songs acoustic, very small, all in the middle of the stage, and then they brought it back out, and so it split the show up into 3 shows.
Interesting.
And yeah, I there are definitely opportunities for that.
All right.
That we did not take this time.
Or like camera setups, because you might be able to get
that's
shots of
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, just different viewpoints at all. We have the drummer camera and things like that are meant to allow for some extra cool views of the whole thing going on
that you obviously wouldn't be able to get at a live show.
Exactly.
So, can you think of any other sort of opportunities that being untethered from the real world offer?
Green screen.
Green screen.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
You can perform anyway.
Yeah, dude. When we were doing, we did a 24-hour Twitch stream one time for Super Soul. I think we hit some number of subscribers or something. So we were like, let's do a crazy 24-hour stream. And like, it became a question of like, how do we keep this entertaining? Like, even if we're just playing music. And with a visual medium, like you can do so much with green screen to make it goofy and give people like weird things to look at. It's just super fun. I love that part of streaming concerts and stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, thank you both very much. We are going to take we're going to step away from, speaking of live and virtual, which I guess this is all virtual, but we are going to put a pause on the conversation, and we are going to have our first giveaway of the stream. So we will see Brian and Shane back very soon. But right now, if you are live in the chat, please pay attention to what UB Jurassic is saying. That is our community manager in North Carolina, Brian Turner. He will give you all the instructions you need on how you can win one of everything that you see on your screen now. You're going to get 2 sets of strings from Ernie Ball. That is 1 set for your guitar, 1 set for your bass, both regular slinky. You're going to get a dozen picks from Ernie Ball, plus a black guitar strap, a package of Wonder Wipes, a peg winder, and you're going to get some picks from us here at Rocksmith. That is the Spectrum design. All of those can be yours. If you are the lucky winner, Brian Turner will reach out to you through Whisper. Once again, that's UB Jurassic, and he will get your name your ship get address, and your telephone number. I mentioned last week I was able to send out a good-sized batch of the past 6 months worth of prizes, not all of them. So if you don't get yours in the next few weeks, hopefully I'll be able to get back in there soon again and send out another shipment. But yeah, we're going to send these out as we can. I cannot promise exactly when that will be, but we are keeping hold of everyone's information so that when I get back to the studio, we can just ship those right on out. So good luck on that. And in the meantime, after this raffle, maybe, if you have any questions for myself, for Shane, for Brian Shu, please ask Gooby Jurassic. He will get those questions to us. And right now, I'm very happy to welcome Osbug and Screechy, who are going to play a couple songs. And we'll see you back live after that.
Hello again, Rocksmith fans. We are back to play a couple songs for you again. And continuing the theme of last time, we're going to play a couple bands that Screechy discovered through Rocksmith. Last time we talked about how many cool bands we've discovered through this. And these are both bands I'd heard of, but they were new to her and actually got her into some different genres of music.
Mostly math rock.
Yeah, a little math rocky, mathcore. The first one is going to be Fall of Troy. We're going to play FCP Remix. And this chart is a monster. None of the parts themselves are individually tough, but the song, putting the whole song together is just a lot of work. So first song, FCP Remix. Here we go. Before we start, I kind of know you guys out there love your guitars. Can't imagine why, but I'm going to talk about the guitar I'm going to use for this song. This is a Charvel Surfcaster, and this one is from, I'm pretty sure, 91, the first year they made these guitars. And it's a bit of an oddball, but it's an amazing guitar. It has that definite surf guitar look, color, but the neck on this thing is pretty much a shred neck. It's early Charvel, really thin, flat neck, and it's amazing to play. Got a couple.
It's good for jazz.
Yeah, and it's got a couple lipstick pickups on there, which are made by Chandler, I believe. And it's a super versatile guitar. Like Screechy said, this has become her main jazz guitar, and it gets an amazing jazz tone. But it's still a Charvel, so if you put it in the right position there, you can still get some pretty decent rock tones out of it. It's got a non-locking trem. I believe it's a Wilkinson trem, and non-locking nut up there. But amazing guitar, amazing color, and now we're going to play some FCP Remix for you.
everybody, Rykin here. Today I'm here to show you about the tremolo bar. I want to just talk a little bit about how the apparatus works, how it's able to manipulate the pitch of a note or set of notes, and then I'll show you some tricks you can do, cool things you can do with the bar. So, to start out with, the most tremolo bar systems operate from a floating bridge, which means basically you're going to have a set of springs back here that holds a certain amount of tension to keep the strings in tune. Now when I manipulate the bar, press it down, see those guys are stretching out, right? So that's what's allowing me to manipulate the pitch of a note. Most tremolo systems these days are locking systems, meaning there's some device up here that's going to lock the strings in place, so there's no tension that, when it comes back to the original pitch, it's in tune again. This particular guitar has the screws are right here on the tuners, which is pretty cool. Another super common type of tremolo system that's used really for more of the extreme stuff, like the Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Van Halen type of squeals and dive bombs and all that cool stuff. That's a Floyd Rose system, and it's a little more heavy duty here. And then also you just have a straight up, basically a clamp that goes over the nut here, so that ensures that the strings stay in tune no matter what you do during the song. So yeah, that's basically how it works. One thing I like to do personally is I love to just add a little bit of extra vibrato or vibrato on top of chords. Also, open chords, you can do the same thing. I'm going to add some drive and show you really one of the most common things people do is just a sort of another type of vibrato on top of a note, which is not going to be manipulating my fingers. I'm going to be using the bar for So it definitely has a different character than if I just do that with my fingers, right? You can actually manipulate the pitch with more flexibility, like, I could go higher or lower with the bar than I could with my fingers. I think player-wise, you have people like David Gilmour, Jeff Beck, doing more, kind of more subtle. Manipulation of the note that way. I'd say more of a melodic approach. Of course, you have people like Jimi Hendrix, who was really the one to take it into the modern era, I think, with the tremolo stuff. And he's obviously doing more cooler kind of sound effects, dive bombs. He would really get extreme with, obviously it's not that loud in here, but vibrating the windows, so it is kind of loud. Yeah, so you can catch some really nice sustain, especially if you catch some feedback. There's all kind of cool sound effects you can do. For instance, I like to, well, I used to do this all the time. I would take like 5th fret on the 3rd string, 7th fret on the 2nd string, and just kind of get that dissonant minor second. You know, so I'm basically bottoming out on the note too when I go down. So that's some pretty extreme manipulation here. Hopefully my guitar is staying in tune for the locking system. Not bad, you know, it's not perfect. Probably enough to finish the song after you do some wild tremolo stuff in the middle, tremolo bar stuff. Yeah, what else? You can definitely do like pitch manipulation on top of a series of notes or a riff, like I guess another common thing would be to take a trill. Now you can hear my guitar going a little bit out of tune. When you hear Eddie Van Halen, Steve Vai, or Joe Satch, any of those types of players catch these squeals, it's generally what could be a harmonic. It could be a natural harmonic or a pinch here. But you know, if I do a pinch, catch a good pinch. There you go. Yeah, there you go. I can go down on the bar first and then catch it on the way up with like a harmonic. Kind of. Pretty well in tune. Alright guys, hope that was a good explanation of a tremolo bar.
And welcome back to today's Rocksmith developer stream. We are back in one of the live portions. I am Douglas Lilly, your host and community developer for Rocksmith. Thank you very much to Rye Kin for that segment. 2-3 weeks ago, we had somebody in the chat. I wrote down the name and then I lost where I wrote it. Who was asking, "Hey, I really wish we had something in Rocksmith to explain kind of how to use whammy bars, how whammy bars work." And I asked around, and Rye came up, and he was like, "Yeah, we can make it. We can do a video. I can show some basics." So thank you very much, Rye, for that. And if you're in the chat and there's stuff that you're wanting to know, like I would like a better description of how to do X, Y, or Z, or how can I get better at this technique, let us know, and we'll do what we can. That's why we're here ultimately, to help get you on your guitar. So thank you for Rye very much for showing us some of the things you can do with the whammy bar. Before that, we saw Osbug and Screechy just killing it, honestly. And we're in just a moment going to see him kill it again. But first, let's give away some songs. Right now, I'm going to give away 5 copies of the Pretty Reckless song pack on Steam. This is 3 songs. We've got Going to Hell, Make Me Want to Die, and My Medicine. All of those can be yours if you listen to UB Jurassic's instructions in the chat. Once more, all 5 of these copies are on Steam, and this is some like really driving riff-based hard rock. It's so fun. We saw just a few weeks ago, we had a performance of one of the Pretty Reckless songs, and they're fun. They're so much fun. So if you're in the chat right now, please listen to Be Jurassic so you can see how you can win one of your copies. And once more right now, here is Osbug and Screechy, and we're back live right after that.
All right, for our second song, we're going to play Cold Company by Minus the Bear. And like I said earlier, a band that Screechy discovered through Rocksmith and actually introduced her to the world of tapping. And she wasn't much of a fan of it before this, but then she took the song on as a challenge and is doing a really good job with it. And she'll be playing her Court Katana. She played this one last time. Really cool guitar. And here we go with Cold Company.
And welcome back to the final live portion of today's Rocksmith Developer Stream. I'm still Doug. Nice to meet you. Osbug and Screechy just doing fantastic work there. You can catch them playing Rocksmith occasionally on Twitch. Osbug, O-S-B-U-G, is where you can find them. And now I'd like to say, well, before I welcome them back, soon this weekend, I think we're celebrating Screechy's birthday, so there will be an event on Sunday at 3 Pacific. I can be corrected in the chat if I'm wrong. 3 Pacific on Osbug's Twitch channel. So if you go ahead and give him a follow, then you'll be alerted when that starts. So that is twitch.tv/OSBUG. That's Sunday at 3 p.m. Pacific. Now I want to welcome back Brian Shu and Shane Gann to talk about playing, performing, and writing in a digital environment or virtual environment. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
You're
Glad
very
to
welcome.
Still be here.
I'm glad that you stuck around. So earlier, Brian Shu, you mentioned you're doing some of these the covers partially so you can learn Premiere, or that's at least one of the side effects. And I wanted to know what if when you are either performing, and this is to both of you, either performing or recording, writing music online, what different skill sets might you have to develop to do so successfully that you might not have to have if you were performing, writing in a more traditional face-to-face setting?
I think a lot of musicians, at least in my kind of scene of more of the jazz performers, like
Mhm.
you know, they make a majority of their money performing and teaching. They're starting to. I think it's the learning curve of learning all this technology. Like
Yeah.
that's a big part of it. Yeah, that's the biggest difference. I think it's just having to learn how to use all this
Right.
new stuff.
Shane, what are you seeing performing virtually, performing a streamed set? What are people learning that they wouldn't have had to learn otherwise?
Well, there's just more scrutiny, I would say, since things are more clearly presented than if you were in a really loud room surrounded by screaming people.
With echo and
But
reverberation.
yeah, so yeah, the level of perfection that we have to bring is heightened. So obviously we rehearse for every set of shows we ever play, but specifically for this one, we're just so much more aware, especially because that energy thing is still in play. So we have to make sure that, you know, not a single person who's watching is disappointed for some reason.
Right.
Where a lot of times you can get away with more mistakes if you're bringing the right amount of entertainment.
Yeah.
And hopefully that still holds true. But again, because it's so professionally done and it's being saved for reviewing and all those things, we want to make it perfect.
Right. And I know you in particular and Hell the Sun, you're pretty on top of your like social media game. Is that something that more people should be worrying about right now? Performers, musicians, either to sort of get the word out about these virtual performances, since people aren't going to be able to see like who's coming to town within the next few months, or Brian Shu, is that a way that you're kind of networking and finding people to perform with, or is that a possibility? What's your stance on picking up social media specifically for finding these opportunities to play or perform?
You mean streaming gigs and stuff?
Yeah,
like those kind of opportunities.
Mhm.
I'm not usually the one looking for that kind of like looking to do live show. Especially after COVID, I'm just like, well, whatever happens. And if I get a gig, someone's calling me instead. So for me, as more of a session player, people are reaching out to me if they need something done, or if they want to play a show, I'll consider it. It's kind of hard to do any sort of gigs and feel motivated to do self-promotion in this environment that we're in, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm finding that a lot of people who didn't use social media in my circle of friends to promote themselves are maybe struggling a little bit now to like where their place is.
Sure.
And it's definitely something that everybody should kind of get familiar with and start doing more often. I hate self-promotion, so.
Yeah, I kind of, just to add on, I think I feel the same way. Typically, my social media presence is more particular, especially as far as promotion is concerned. But because of the state of affairs, and because, like I said, our whole year, if not longer, has been completely upended, we did have to put and are putting more promotion through our business, through the actual band's channels and stuff like that, just because we know that this event is the possibly only show of the year. So
Right.
it's important definitely to try and inform people the most effectively that you can, and definitely social media is something I feel like everyone is pretty involved in these days to some extent. Like, we all are wanting to know, even if it's so much negative news, we still want to be in the know. So
Have
great
some
channel to
idea.
go for. Yeah, and like you were saying about developing that sort of presence,
Yeah.
it is a good opportunity to go ahead and try a lot of different things and reach out to different communities. And there's targeted ads and things like that. You can really reach wider audiences that might actually be more receptive to some novelty these days. So
Yeah.
why not go for it?
Cool. And I have one more question before we get to the some of the questions from the chat. And I don't know if this is a headier question than what we would normally have, but just from what you've seen with your different experiences, what long-term impacts, if any, do you think our current reality will have once we are able to resume face-to-face playing, writing, and performing? Or do you anticipate a sort of immediate shift back to the old norm?
Well, for sure, I can see, like what Brian Shu has brought up, and like I said with Sufferer, there's this learning curve that all of our industry is being forced to approach at this point, to get used to this technology and to find ways to collaborate digitally. And that, in essence, is brought about by necessity, but I don't foresee that it will change. Kind of like the work from home situation. Like, if people are able to still produce, and if in some ways it makes the process more efficient, then I feel like they're going to hold on to. And I'm in a band with a guy in Sacramento, and so even if we did go back to a more normal setting, this is still kind of a preferred method to get great at.
Yeah.
And what better time than now?
Things. I could say from kind of the gig scene, kind of your your bar gigging guys, things aren't going to come back. They aren't going to go back to normal because a lot of these venues are closing down. So when all is said and done, whenever this is over, a lot of these guys actually won't have a place to play anymore. And as a whole, it's really sad. Like, I think we've lost like Slim's in San Francisco. A lot of famous clubs in New York are closing down, like 55 Bar, places I've always wanted to visit, because all my heroes have played there. And, it's really sad. But I hope that when we do come back and we're able to play these few shows at the few venues that are still open, that people come out and see live music, because there's absolutely nothing like it. Like, go out, see your local bands, see what's happening in your scene. Like,
find out what your scene is.
Yeah.
If you don't know what your local scene is, you should find out what your local scene is, or get involved in your local scene.
Yeah, and also on the flip side, like what Shane was saying, everybody's kind of by necessity learning how to use this technology, and a ton of people are learning instruments and getting music teachers because they have nothing else to do. So I foresee maybe a not too distant future where we just have all these really talented young kids who have already learned how to record themselves, who are learning instruments, like multi-instrumentalists, just go ham, like people that are already familiar with the digital age of Twitch streaming and stuff. Like all these kids are coming up learning how to do all of these things at once. So
and they're gonna need a place to play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be pretty interesting in the post-COVID where the music industry goes.
Yeah, interesting. Good, great answers. I'm gonna lighten it up a little bit. Some questions from the chat. Osbug had a question for Brian Shu. What DAW do you use for the collabs? And before you answer that, for people who might not know, what is a DAW or DAW?
It's a digital audio workspace, and it's basically just a software program that you record music in. So it's like a tape track recorder in your computer, I guess.
Perfect.
I don't know, with infinite amount of tracks.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been personally using Logic X just because it's Logic 10. It's really easy. It comes on Mac. But I'm familiar with a couple of other DAWs. Like, I've used Pro Tools in the past, and Reaper's a really good one for anybody that wants a low budget version of it. I think it costs like $60
or no budget.
Or no budget. Yeah. But there's also GarageBand and all of those beginner-friendly DAWs. All right.
Thank you, Brian. Jean308 asks, question for those of you who only use vibrato with your hand. Do you tend to use it up and down, or do you do it in the Spanish style? How do you guys use vibrato? Show us how you use vibrato. I don't know if you have a guitar near you.
Oh,
what are we doing? I have one, but I'm not the one to teach.
I got a guitar.
Yeah, do it.
Okay. So by Spanish vibrato, I assume you mean violin vibrato or side-to-side vibrato versus...
Like along the string, right?
Yeah, so... Right. Twinsies! Anyways. Regular vibrato, right? I guess whatever regular is, it's a social construct. You bend the string kind of back and forth like this. So you're wavering the pitch because you're bending the string forward and backwards. The other version is a back and forth where you're distributing the pressure by going back and forth the string, kind of like a violin. And it's a lot more subtle. But I hope you can hear that. Can you guys hear that?
Hear a little bit, yeah.
There you go. You can do that for chords as well. But they're both really nice to use for different effects, of course. Like the former, the back and forth bending vibrato, is more common in rock music and popular guitar music, while the violin type of vibrato is more of a, I don't know, maybe flamenco, classical. Holdsworth used to use that vibrato a lot to do his giant chords and give them a shake. Practice them all. See what you like. They're all really cool ways to express yourself.
So experiment.
The biggest difference I can hear, especially from your demonstrations, is that like in rock music and things that use the more traditional, a little further out of the tune, it's got that wild emotive expression. And the more Spanish style, flamenco style, it still gets the emotion across, but it's in a more refined sense. So definitely, you can find ways to utilize both of them.
Cool. All right. Thank you both very much for that. Clutching Up asks, what do most of you do with the pick while you're playing tapped notes? What do you do with the pick when you're tapping?
Hide it between my fingers. And grab
Sort
one.
of-
You gotta grab.
Does he like fold?
So I'm kind of weird. Like I tap with my middle finger, so I can hold the pick regularly, and I just
Okay.
use my middle finger to do it like that.
Yeah, I definitely do that too with the right hand, but I've definitely got this moved down to where I can integrate it during playing to have more freedom to either tap or
Yeah.
harmonic or I don't know, finger play a lot of times if I go to
Yeah,
a section like that. It's a lot easier.
Get
A lot
your
of the
hover-
times, if you're using more than one finger to tap, like 2 fingers or 3 fingers, I usually just put it in my mouth.
All right,
Classic.
all right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. All right, and I got one more question. Hopefully this is legit. Wolf Mother said, I told Screechy that she'd get a PRS from me if she did well on Cold Company, and then I said we'd leave it up to the UB team to decide how she did. What's the verdict? What do we say? Does Screechy get a PRS from Wolf Mother according to the chat?
I certainly hope so. That sounds
Yeah.
I would
fun.
think so. I think it sounds.
Me too.
I mean, we were gushing over the playing during the performance, so I think she pretty much nailed it, and she get a PRS. If we do have any say in this, I think that's the call. So hopefully, happy birthday and congratulations. I hope this is legit. I have no say in it, but I'm checking the chat right now. Wait, who's Wolf Mother? Somebody's looking at me. I don't know. Everyone's saying yes. Wolf Mother. I don't know who Wolf Mother is. In regards to this situation, this could be. All right. Well, I guess maybe we'll find out if this is real or not in the near future. All right, we'll find out. I feel like that's a decent place to end on. Thank you very much, Brian and Shane, for being here. It was lovely having you, and hopefully we'll see you again very soon. We're gonna do one more giveaway for this stream, but farewell to you two gentlemen.
See you.
And we'll see you very soon. If you are in the chat right now, please listen to UB Jurassic for instructions on how you can win our final Ernie Ball prize pack of the day. If you win, you're going to get 2 sets of guitar strings, one for your 6-string guitar, one for your bass. You're going to get a black Ernie Ball guitar strap, a variety pack of Ernie Ball Wonder Wipes, a peg winder for Ernie Ball, a dozen of the Everlast picks for Ernie Ball, and a couple of Spectrum Plectrum picks from us here at Rocksmith. All those can be yours. If you win, you're going to get a whisper from UB Jurassic in the chat once more. That is Brian Turner. He is our community manager in North Carolina. He's going to get from you your name, your shipping address, and your telephone number. As always, we do need all of that information in order to get your prize to you. We will be shipping those out as I'm able to get into the office and ship out batches of those. It took 6 months for the first batch. Hopefully it won't take as long for batch number 2. I'll let you know when I'm able to get back in there. Otherwise, good luck. And I also want to thank Osbug and Screechy. Once more, you can find them on twitch.tv/OSBUG. And thank you, Rykin, for hopefully helping answer a question from one of you in the chat. Otherwise, we will see you next week. And yeah, thank you very much for being here. Goodbye.